Hey, good morning. Welcome to the studio at Two Girls Treasure. How are you today? I was on time. I was early even, but I was working on a door, and then in my defense, there was chocolate chip banana bread involved, courtesy of my favorite sister-in-law. It's fabulous. And now we have a guest in the store. So she's going to plunder around, and then she's going to come check out what we're doing. That's pretty exciting. I love to have company. So this is erasable liquid chalk. Erasable. Use this when you want to take it back off whatever you're working on. If you use that when you're working on something that you want to stay, it won't, because you'll work on it, you'll wipe it, and it'll be all gone. Make sure, and there's really no distinction, the labels look exactly the same, the product is white, so if you are not careful, it'll get gone. Now, yesterday you saw the sample textiles that we worked with, and I did the little bag. Didn't work on it at all last night. I'll show it to you. So cute. My cup of tea. That's what I was going for. Had all the letters backwards. My cup of tea. We also worked on I showed you a pair of jeans that I worked on, and it was my very first pair of jeans that I ever stamped with Iron Orchid Designs. I am going to do another pair. Friday evening, Saturday morning, I'm stamping things. Today, well, we have back to school style. This is a child size. Oh Lord, the glasses. This is an extra small. Definitely won't fit me, but definitely will fit someone super stylish. And I want to show you how we can stamp jean material for real. So I've gotten out some of my favorite jean material back to school style stamps, and they include Catwalk because, you know, that's kind of cool. And I got out the wings, and I was thinking about that, and then I was like, oh wait, if we're gonna be really stylish, let's get out Pavo. Pavo our peacock. We have two, because you can't have just one peacock. You have to have two peacocks. So we have Pavo the peacock stamps. There are a lot of pieces in here. I didn't put it in an envelope. I put it in a plastic container because it made sense. And these peacocks are kind of large, so they fit. And they have the fancy plumes to go with them, so you can make a giant peacock out of these pieces. You can also make an absolutely gorgeous design. So let's grab the real white that we need to use, not the mixing white. Let's see where it is. These are all blacks, and these are all not whites. It might be in one of the containers I have. See, I mix it up too, y'all. I forget which one is where. These are all alpha types. And I end up grabbing the wrong ink, and it just happens. So I will use my darker inks. We'll create our outline. I have some paints out. Of course, we have the brand new Rethunk Junk Resin Metallics. This is Shimmering Sage. Isn't that beautiful? And this is Pixie Dust. So we will use these to go along with this project because it makes sense. Let me grab my inks and let's get stamping. Let's do this jacket because school starts back for some kids this week and for others next week, but it's back to school time. If you're doing something like the sleeve, which we probably will, you might want to get a piece of cardboard or a piece of cardstock, something that you can slip inside the sleeve, and especially if you're doing jeans, like a pair of jeans, you're going to slip something inside the leg. That does two things. It gives you something firm to stamp to, and it prevents your inks from saturating through the fabric and going through to the other side. So that's kind of an important part of what we're doing. I'm going to lay my towel down. We're going to use that, and I'll lay the jacket down, and I'll flip you down so you can see the work table. Here we go. It's not cleaned off, y'all know that. But this space is. Let's start right in the middle, and I would say we'll go on the outside edges with the catwalk, and we'll go right here in the center bit with the peacock. So let's find how we can make this look amazing. And I have my peacock, my pavo is all cut out. So it's already on the protective back sheet. It makes it a whole lot easier to hold it, and I don't have to mount it on my thin mount. So this is helpful. We'll put his head right up here. That way the first plume of his head top goes right here. This will give us some room to bring these tail feathers in on this side piece right here. There are smaller bits, and we can embellish as we go around and make him absolutely gorgeous. Bring the tail feathers around. We can bring the feathers down the sleeves because we have these gorgeous traditional peacock feathers. And we have a flower, so we can find where we can put that in as well. It's not hard to design this stamp set. You just have to decide what you want and where you want it. Now, Pavo has masks. Back in the day, long time ago, in the olden days of Iron Orchid Designs, they actually created masks separate from the stamp set. So we have a Pavo mask set, and we'll get that out because once we start stamping, we don't want these tail feathers laid over the top of our peacock. So we'll remove these for now so that we can get this piece started. Now remember yesterday what I told you. And I'm going to open my phone real quick so that we can chat it up while we're going. When you're stamping fabric, especially a dark color like jeans, you probably want to juice it up really good. What does that mean? Well, that means when you are, I'm stretching for a piece of paper, when you're getting ready to stamp, you don't want to squish the ink down into your peacock, but you do want to make sure that you have enough ink on there to make your impression, to make your stamp onto the fabric. The fabric is thick. This is tightly woven. And even though yesterday when I showed you the loosely woven, it stamped really well. I think it would have stamped brighter colored if I hadn't dyed it a dark color. But stamping on a loose open weave is a little bit more difficult because it's loose. Now, stamping on a really tight weave is not hard, but you do have to be careful because it's tighter, so you have to make sure you have enough material to penetrate the fibers. And you can do this. I'll show you how. we're going to get out all the things. I've got the Ocean's Deep. This is kind of my favorite color blue. I have tomato, or tomato, but it's tomato. And I have greenish, and I'll tell you what happened. I actually inked this with blue, and then I inked it with green, and then I was like, oh shoot, this was blue, but now it's green. So this is Newgrass, and we will do the combo stamp. What does that mean? I'm going to use all these colors. So I will start with the Ocean's Deep at the top. I have the paper out. I want to show you just how much, when you're stamping with the ink pads, gets around the edges. It's nothing you're doing wrong. It's just because it's a square ink pad and you're going on a not square surface. I know it's rectangular, it has squared off edges, but you're going on a not squared surface. And I'm going to ink this multiple times because I want a vibrant finish. Now today we are still just working with the inks. Tomorrow I have a thing we're gonna do, but I have to go get the product first. So I'm gonna go, look how much came out from around the sides. Now, fortunately, I didn't get any on the back sheet. I always watch for that because this is the part that's gonna impact your surface. We're good right there. I'm gonna go from the blues into the Newgrass green. The more times you tamp over the top of it, the more ink you apply. Sounds crazy, but it's true. If you want a little bit richer color, just continue to stamp over and give your peacock a little more vibrancy. We're gonna need that to stamp this jacket. All right, now, tomato, tomato. That's right. And we're just gonna stamp the end of these tail feathers right here. And I've got a little bit on the edge of the sheet of acetate, the protective back sheet. But that's all right too, because I can wipe it right off, and that way we won't get it on our jacket. And now we're inked and we're ready to stamp. Let's put his head right up over the top. Make sure we don't have any wrinkles. And let's lay him down. Now, let me show you a trick to make this a little bit easier on your hands. Take your brayer, take your Iron Orchid Designs brayer, anchor your stamp so that it doesn't shift, so you don't muddy up your image, because when you are stamping on fabric, this is it. If you're stamping on a piece that you've painted, you can wipe it off and paint over it if you need to. You're stamping on fabric, you're pretty much committed. So once you flip it over and commit, that's it. That's what you're gonna have. It's fabric. You can go ahead and throw it in the washing machine really fast and wash some of it out. But I'm going to tell you from experience, once you get that ink onto the surface of fabric, that's pretty much what you're going to have. So flip it over, you're committed, get your brayer out. It's going to be a little challenging right here because of the seam. I'm going to anchor it really firmly right there on that seam and do his headdress. And then we'll go over his face and his neck. If you want to check your work and see that you've gotten enough of an impression, anchor your stamp and then just pick it up. Lay it back down. Pick it up and lay it back down. But don't pick it up with both hands, or you'll never get it back down where it was. Go ahead and run over this one more time, and then we'll lift it. Now he's absolutely beautiful. Not really easy to see. He is, but he's not. Right? Well, let's fix that. How? I'm so glad you asked. All right, we are going to take our white until I can find my permanent white. This will do. This will do. I could take, yeah, let's do it this way. I could take my pixie dust because I'm in love with this. This is beautiful. Let's do this. Let me find my thin melt. I do need that. Got it. All right. This is it. This is the rubber to the road test. I don't mind using paint on my stamps. I have alcohol wipes handy, and I use them, and they do a great job. I'm going to dip some pixie dust, which is our brand new resin metal from Rethunk Junk Paint by Laura. Look how beautiful that is. Can you see that sunflowery shimmer? Absolutely beautiful. I'll stick that right there, and let me cover that up so I don't spill, because that could happen. And I'm going to take my brayer and run my brayer through the pixie dust repeatedly. And let me tell you why. I don't want a heavy load. I want a good load. I want enough material on that brayer so that when I get ready to stamp the peacock, I've got enough on there to do the job. I don't want so much that I overdo it. Let's swap that for the paper. When you're using paint, it doesn't matter what brand you're using. You're going to need to do this quickly and efficiently because it's paint and it dries fast. So flip it. If it is not perfectly aligned, don't panic. It is kind of that outline thing. Let me grab another brayer, one that I have not run in the paint, and we will impress it again over the top. It's just sort of an outline, y'all. It's an illusion. So if it is not precisely over the top of where you need it, it's okay. It'll give you a really neat effect. Make sure you roll it good and firmly. Don't smash it. It didn't give us a lot of color, did it? It's okay. I can still see that peacock in there. It looks pretty good. I still want the gold on there, so I'm going to have to work on that. I will take some of this off. Let's go ahead and clean him off a little bit. Sometimes if there's too much built up, you won't be able to get that good stamp impression that you're looking for. And I have loved Pavo to pieces, literally, using this stamp set on so many different projects. Pavo lives on Gypsy Queen. Karen, if you're watching, Gypsy Queen found a wonderful home where she will never be not loved, and Pavo lives there with her. But this stamp has been used very well. If you can see, his neck is floppy, not because the stamp is broken, but because the protective back sheet is cracked right there. That's how many times I've used this stamp set. but it's a beautiful stamp set. Absolutely beautiful stamp set. All right, let me clean off my brayer. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. If you're just joining, we are doing a back to school stylish piece with Pavo, our lovely, lovely peacock set. We have lots of feathers. We have two different facing peacocks to use. And we're working with our pixie dust. I'm going to wipe this clean so I can use this for another color. We're using our Rethunk Junk Paint Resin Metal Pixie Dust. We're using several different colors of our ink. And we're going to make this extra small jean jacket back to school ready, because it's that time in the Southland. As the parents sing, it's the most wonderful time of the year. And the children are sad. All right. Paint's clean. We'll set that to the side, and let's get some tail feathers out. How will I make that stand up and be brighter? We'll get to it. We'll get to it. That'll be our task for tomorrow. We only have a few more minutes today, so let's go ahead and put a tail feather to it. And since my Pavo masks are in a different place in time, I'm going to use Pavo as my mask. So I'll lay it down just like I did to stamp. And I have the big plume tail feather. So let's do this again, and let's do it in opposition. What does that mean? Well, I ended with the tomato, so let's start with the tomato. We're not going to use the entire tail feather. We're going to use most of it. We'll put this one here so that we can put this one. Well, I tell you what, we could go this way. We sure could. And then we can fill in with those smaller tail feathers right there. So from here down is where we're going to stamp the ink on. That's where we're going to apply our inks. So I'll start with tomato. And it's okay if you go a little bit too far down. Since we're going to ombre our colors, they can just run one over the top of the other. Make sure it's good and loaded so that when you turn it over to apply it to the jean fabric is a really tightly woven fabric. This is not a thin jean jacket. It's a little heavier, so it's going to need a little bit more application of your ink so that it saturates the fibers. Now this is the part where once we stamp it, it needs to sit for 24 hours before we heat set it. And then once we heat set it, then we can wash it. Don't do it any other way or you won't end up with an image that's going to last. Make sure you've got this fabric nice and straight, which is not easy to do with jean because of all the seams. Do the best you can. Lay that color down and let's bray our colors onto the jacket. Anchor it with one hand and roll your brayer over it with the other. You can come in, the camera's on what we're doing on the work table, not on us. and just roll over your stamp. Make sure you anchor it, especially if you're going over a seam, because that makes it a little bit bumpy, not a smooth road. Roll over the raised impression area, your relief. Roll over it as many times as you want. The object is to make sure you impress that ink into the fabric. And then lift it. And we have a beautiful plume. And we will highlight the plume just the same. And we'll fill in just a little bit of that gap right there. Let's get some of our tomato out. There we go. I'm going to grab the paper. And I'll just add a little bit more ink. How am I going to line it up? Magic. Just pure luck and magic. Just like that. And we'll just fill in that little gap space right there. I'm just going to rub it on because I don't want to let go. I'm anchoring it with the side of my hand and my other hand, and I'm just using my thumb to rub the ink in, and that way we've got that edge filled in right there. He's going to be so pretty once we get him done. How are we going to do this and make it look brilliantly colored just like he should be? Well, I'm glad you asked. I'll show you more tomorrow. Make sure you're here with me at 9 a.m. and we'll do more, because he has all kinds of tail feathers that he needs put in here. And I can see a little bit of beading going on. I see all kinds of things to make this peacock feather jean jacket stunning. And if you have a jean jacket or a pair of jeans or a shirt that you want to do, I have mine. And my problem is, even though I have two of them, I want to do everything to it. Everything. And it'll really show up on this white linen. So go get one of these, or go get a t-shirt, or grab a pair of jeans, and join us here in the studio Friday evening from 5:30 to 7:30 for Family Fun Night, or join us Saturday morning from 10 till 12 for a studio session, and you can stamp and go back to school in style. Even if you're not going back to school, you might as well roam around the big box stores in and amongst the school supplies just like you are. Pencils are going to be on big sale. You need some. Thanks for being here with me this morning, y'all. I'm Diane Pruitt. We're in the studio at Two Girls Treasure in Florence, South Carolina. Stop in anytime to see what kind of work we have going on. I will look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning, but in the meantime, I hope you have a blessed and wonderful day. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Bye now.